Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining today. As you know, leadership at By and Large relies on all of you entrepreneurs in the innovation lab to come up with the next big thing. And since the last few ideas have been real duds, we need something great this time. Hit me with your best idea.
What about building a new financial model to help us value assets more accurately?
Again, think bigger.
Okay, how about this? Why don't we do a new pricing structure that'll help by and large cut costs?
Is this the best you can do? I'm thinking the next Uber. What do I pay you people for?
All right, boss. Just spitballing here. I'm thinking lots of folks have spare guest rooms in their homes, right? What if there were an easy way for people to rent out those rooms to guests? Hosts make some cash on the side by sharing their space. Guests save on hotel costs. Learn about the area from a local, maybe even get a hot breakfast in the morning. I'm thinking to call it ShareBnB.
Hey, now, I like where your head's at. But what? You're going to design a whole site, code it yourself, write the logic, configure a database, set up authentication and member accounts, and provision and deploy all by yourself. You'd need a whole engineering team working for months and months. And how would you even integrate this into By and Large's own tech stack? Fine idea, but let's keep things realistic.
Maybe you're right, boss. Well, even though the boss isn't interested, I'd still love to turn my Figma design into a website prototype. But I'm no coder. Surely there's got to be some no-code website builder out there I can use, right? Google, what do you got? Okay, google.com. Let's look for no-code website. Yep, that's the one. All right. What's this? First result. Webflow. Oh, yeah, I know Webflow. Let's see. No code. Can I do this without... no coding needed? Bingo. But a static website by itself's not enough. What else do we have here in product? Looks like, memberships. Curate gated content. So logged in hosts and guests can see different things. This just might work. But I don't want to start with a completely blank page. I bet there's a style guide I can find in the Made in Webflow showcase. Oh, yeah, lots of options here. Okay, well, I'll pick a style guide. Let's pick this anti-style guide. Looking good, Jono. Nice work. I will clone it into my workspace. Then I can jump into the designer and get started. All right, so now that I'm in, using a style guide, I can translate my design from Figma right into the canvas. I can style my CSS. I can add HTML. And, would you look at that? Webflow has components now, just like Figma. This is way easier than coding by hand. Okay, static site's built and looking good, but that was the easy part. I got to make this thing come to life. First thing I'll need is authenticated users. So in my case, hosts and guests need to log in and see different content. I'll set up memberships. So from inside the designer, I can make an access group for hosts, and I can make an access group for guests. And then when they log in, I can serve different content to different groups. Hosts will see their listings, guests can book them, all natively in Webflow without code. $1 billion valuation, here we come. Okay, getting closer, but to be a proper app, when I click this Book Now button, something has to happen. I also need a way for users to interact with the CMS database. I need application logic. That's where Webflow Logic comes in. I can configure any form to add an entry to the CMS. Hosts will create listings to browse. Guests can book rooms. Thinking about it, that's really all an app is. Creating and displaying entries in a database to different users. All right, let's review. Using Webflow, I built the responsive static site. I added user authentication, configured some application logic, and there's still a ways to go, and I'm going to need some pro help here, but I've basically got the whole MVP done by myself, all without external tools or developers. You know who might like to see this?
Hey there, Nato. What can I do for you?
Do you remember that goofy idea I had about the home rental business? Now, I know you said no ShareBnB, but...
Nathan, I thought we talked about this. I said it was too...
No, before you go any further, just take a look at what I got here.
Wait, what? How did you make this so fast?
With Webflow.
This looks terrific, but Even if we wanted to roll this out, we can't. By and large, has guidelines for approving software we can use. It has to be reviewed by IT, security, legal. Most retail software won't cut it. Webflow, we need an enterprise version to meet our needs.
Which they surely do, boss. I already took a meeting, ran it by IT.
Oh, really? What's the verdict?
Two-factor authentication and SSO using our own provider.
That's a good start. What about the security practices?
I learned Webflow is SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. Legal reviewed the WSIC profile. We're in the clear.
What happens as we scale?
Well, retail has lower bandwidth, but Webflow Enterprise will scale as ShareBnB scales.
I suppose next you'll tell me Webflow has dedicated support resources if you run into trouble.
Not only a success manager, but also a technical architect and a phone line if we purchase the right SLA.
Well, what happens when you reach 10,000 CMS items? That's not going to get you very far.
Well, Webflow Enterprise can support up to 500,000 CMS items.
Nathan, I underestimated you.
Or maybe you underestimated Webflow. But right now, all this is just a proof of concept. I could use a little help to launch a proper MVP here. And I know just the person to ask. All I need is your approval for a small budget. Hey there, Derek. Pleasure.
Hey, Nathan, thanks for hopping on. What can WebPro do for you?
Well, so I've got this killer app that I started building on Webflow, but I did run into a few challenges and need some professional help getting over the finish line so we can properly launch the app. I'm looking to bring in another external designer to finish building out the design, maybe supplement with some custom code. How does that sound?
That sounds great. We actually do a lot of work with Webflow sites, actually. And as great of a no-code solution as Webflow is, it's also a full code solution as well. So there really are no limits as to what you can build.
I am very glad to hear that. But what does collaboration look like in practice? Like, do I have to pay for another designer seat to give you access to my workspace? What's that look like?
So since you have a paid account, you can use the new guest access feature. You can invite me to your Webflow project, so I'll be able to work there too. And that way you don't even have to go through the hassle of buying an additional seat.
But if we want to work on the same page at the same time, won't that be a problem? I mean, we'll have to like schedule shifts where one of us has design control and the other doesn't.
Now with page branching, you don't. That's an enterprise-only feature that allows us to work together on the same site where you branch off a page to work on while I work on the other pages. You can publish the whole site without including the branch, and once you're done, we can merge the branch back together with the main site.
Dude, game changer.
Tell me about it, right? It's totally unblocked the way we work together in Webflow.
All right, this sounded good. I have to admit, though, I'm a little embarrassed for you to actually see my project. It is just a hot mess of very poorly named classes and styles and div 32. I'm making every page element from scratch and don't have a great system for reusing elements. Do you have any ideas?
We're happy to help there too. As a Webflow expert, I can help develop your style guide and work on reusable components. You'll be able to drag those onto every page and update them all at once. So that way you don't have to continuously build out headers and footers over and over and over again. And with override fields, including new visibility settings, you can create dynamic components that vary from page to page.
How did I not know about components until now? You are seriously blowing my mind here.
And wait till you hear about libraries. Webflow allows me to easily import and maintain an entire set of layouts and components, so I can add all my favorites at once for you to use.
Man, that sounds not only better for us to build with, but way better for our customers because everything's going to stay consistent.
Now you're thinking like a Webflow pro.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Truly. Thank you. Wow, what a day it has been. You know, I just can't believe how fast the past couple of years have flown right by. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that ShareBnB was some wild idea that by and large never thought would work.
Fun idea, but let's keep things realistic.
But credit where it's due. First, this billion-dollar IPO wouldn't have been possible without Webflow, which empowered a non-technical designer like me to create and publish an MVP without writing any code. Next, I want to thank Webflow Enterprise, which unlocked all the scale and capabilities that we needed to grow successfully. And then when I ran into some technical trouble, thanks to Webflow's extensive partner network, where I found just the help I needed to get over the finish line. So thanks, Webflow. Because of you, we turned an idea into a proof of concept that became an MVP and turned into this billion-dollar business. But most importantly, credit to just my really good idea.